Valfaris? I don't know. Valfaris. This is a I'm gonna say Contra-like, seeing as we were talking about Contra quite a bit. And it has this so it's a 2D shooter. Very, very tough. It's meant to be very challenging. It's by the same folks that made Slain, that game that kind of launched at first not too great, but then they came out with a better, solid Slain Back from Hell edition.
Yeah.
Which was more of like a Castlevania, I think. And yeah, this is a 2D side-scroll shooter with a very vibrant, very very unique, heavy metal infused cyberpunk future aesthetic.
It's a weird mix, but
yeah. So like imagine you're flying in a spaceship, right? But the spaceship is in the shape of a vicious wolf and blood is dripping from its mouth.
yeah, really, it was supposed to be a wolf. I thought it was like a rat.
I think it's a wolf. I don't know. Either way.
Somewhere there.
Yeah, either way, this is the ship you're flying in when you crash land on Valfaris, which is the name of the planet that the game takes place on. And you know, in classic Contra fashion, you're just kind of like there's a very quick couple of frame cutscene, like still frame cutscenes with some dialogue where you're talking to your AI companion, and then you literally crash land your wolf ship on the planet. You jump out and you're off shooting all sorts of creatures. There's you know, there's other wolves that you're fighting. There's plant monsters later on. There's soldiers that are shooting lasers at you, and it's all. What's that?
The little robotic sentry things.
Yeah. There's a pretty big variety of enemies, and the more I played it, the more I realized it was more of a boss rush than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot of like real challenging boss fights, and they're all pretty varied. Like there was one that was I was fighting this insect that was flying around, and once you defeated it to a certain level, it picked you up and brought you over to this other area where you were fighting the insect, but you were also having to deal with additional enemies that kept spawning. And it really pulls no punches when it comes to the difficulty. It throws a lot of enemies at you. They do a lot of damage, and you have to be on your game when you're running through the level. There have been some challenging platforming sequences as well, where you know the lava is rising up from underneath you, and you have to jump up a corridor while also dealing with enemies and stuff like that. So there's been some of that. It really pulls a lot from like the classic Contra and Castlevania kind of tropes in that way. And yeah, just the attitude and the heavy metal vibe is so everywhere in this game. Like the soundtrack is obviously this like pounding cyber metal soundtrack all the time, but then like whenever you get a new gun, so this isn't like Contra where the weapon upgrades, they float around and you pick them up. You'll, after a boss fight or at certain moments, you'll actually get a new gun that you can swap out at the save points. And whenever you get a new gun, there's like a heavy metal riff that plays, and he like throws up the devil horns and rocks his head back and forth. So it leans into it. Yeah, Lee, you'd love this game.
Yeah, they did that with Slain, didn't they?
Yeah,
he beats the boss and he sticks a sword into it and he just swings it around.
Yeah,
this is down on that.
This is very much a Lee joint metal fused with Contra.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, the whole point of the game is you're returning home to kill your father
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's some
that's
horrible person. Like, I don't know
who
if that
knows.
changes later on, but that's pretty much what I've gotten of the story.
Right, that's pretty much the story. It's like who knows why, but that's what you're doing. Um, and in order to do that, you have to run through all of these very unique looking environments with all of these unique enemies and pick up all of these crazy guns. And there's like it expands a little bit more out from the traditional Contra formula. You are collecting this upgrade currency called blood metal. That once you collect a certain amount of it, when you get to a save spot, you can go in and upgrade your weapons. So like you wanna there's actually kind of a lot of weapons in the game, and you have a primary gun, which is usually like a pistol, and then you have your heavier gun that it like uses up this special type of energy, and then there's also a sword. So Lee, there's a sword in this game too. And there's a sword button. You hit Y and it's the melee attack. But you also get the different kinds of swords. And if you melee attack somebody, that gives you the energy you use for your more powerful gun. So there's like a whole system working there to balance out. But yeah, you kind of choose the guns you like the most and you upgrade them. And there's a lot of really cool guns. There's like the last gun I got was a flamethrower. And it actually has a pretty long range, and it's really great at like the basic enemies, like enemies that take one hit or something like that. You just can kind of like rotate the stick around in a circle and just kind of like burn all the enemies around you, and it's pretty good. But yeah, there's been some challenging moments along the way, but it never seems. At least I haven't gotten to a point where it seems unfair or anything like that. It just, like most of the time you can see what you have to do. It's just a matter of executing it. There's never been a situation where I've been like, well, I have no idea how to beat this.
Yeah, it's kind of like learning how everything's moving and interacting. Like, it's taken me a couple times to do some spots, and even when I was streaming, I was like, well, I'm kind of stuck here because I'm trying to execute this right, especially when you're popping around systems, kind of coming back with that control scheme and trying to like remember what buttons what. It can be kind of tricky at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. I loved when I first saw the game. I loved the visuals and stuff like that, and the art is just awesome. Like it's like
like
vibrant
too, like when you kill the enemies, how they kind of like explode into pieces, and then like the little shield or whatever that energy is that uses for the shield you have and for firing your heavy weapon kind of like spins around and comes into you. It just works together nicely.
I forgot about the shield. The shield, you can throw the shield up and that uses your special energy as well, but it can like bounce certain types of projectiles back at the enemy, and if you hit it like almost like a counter or a repost to a incoming shot, the shield will actually catch it, and then you can throw it back at the enemy that shot you with it. So there's like a timing element there too that you can take advantage of. Usually it happens accidentally for me. Because there's usually so much going on that it's hard to pinpoint like a single laser shot coming at you, but it is pretty cool when it works out.
I kind of like the checkpoint system too, because it's different. Like,
you're
not just like trying to plow through these areas to hit the next checkpoint. If something happens, you've actually got to find like a little piece, and you'll activate the checkpoint area so that you'll have that next further up checkpoint. And sometimes if you're just like rolling through, it's like you can miss it at times. Like, they do a pretty good job at making it visible, but if you're just like trying to haul ass through a level, you could probably easily miss it.
Yeah, the that's kind of an interesting system as well, where yeah, you get these like medallions or something like that, and you need to use them in order to unlock a checkpoint and save your game. But it tells you at the beginning of the game that if you hold on to these medallions instead of using them, it gives you bonuses to your health and firepower. So you're kind of encouraged to hold on to some of them instead of activating every checkpoint you see. So you can kind of give yourself some buffs along the way. I really haven't gotten more than 2 stacked because, like I said, the game's hard. So like after you beat this like pain in the ass section of the game, you don't really want to have to worry about dying and then having to load all the way back. And like there's just been boss fights I've had to redo because the last checkpoint that I activated was before a boss fight, and it doesn't like.
Yeah, once you beat a boss, it can come back if you don't checkpoint, right?
Yeah. If you, it doesn't like save the world state or anything after at any other point than when you save. So if you have to load back to before a boss, you got to fight that boss again. Yeah, it's just a neat little game that came out. It's on, I'm pretty sure it's on everything, PC, Xbox, PS4, and Switch. I think me and Derrick, both got the Switch version, and it runs really well. Looks really good on that handheld screen.
Glad I picked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was a thing till you mentioned it. And then I looked into it, and it's kind of. I'm still waiting to pick it up. In this country or in Europe, they're doing a kind of a physical edition, but it's got soundtrack with it and kind of artwork.
Oh
so
yeah,
I'm still waiting
soundtrack
to
would
pick
be
it up.
good.
Yeah, but it seems to me it's kind of it endears me more because it reminds me more of home computer games from Europe, like the games like Turrican that used to be on the Amiga and stuff like that. But that sort of flavour to it, so it's like. I like that more kind of European aesthetic. It seems to have to it, kind of the throwback to the 16-bit home computer type things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do like the look of that.
It's pulling from a lot of that era of gaming, and I think it does a good job of like balancing like modern mechanics of like the upgrade systems and that the interesting save systems while also keeping like the gameplay and like the challenge and stuff like that pretty old school. So I think they did a pretty good job. It's definitely better than when they first launched Slain, which was a gigantic broken mess. So I guess which is good because like looking at Slain was the same thing. I saw it and I thought it was going to be really cool, and then I got review code for it, and they basically said, "Hey, can you not review this because it's so bad?" Yeah, that's literally what they said.
Oh man!
And I had already decided that I wasn't going to put any more time in it because it crashed, and the character felt like garbage, and it was this very challenging, very precise game, so you couldn't really have that kind of cruddy character control. So I was just like, I don't know what I'll do about this, but I'm not gonna spend time with this. And then they literally said, "Hey, can you not cover this? Because we're gonna fix it, and it's bad." They even took it down off Steam.
Oh wow!
Did it take them long to fix it?
I don't know. I don't think the Back from Hell edition came out too much later. But they did, that version definitely fixed just about everything that was wrong about that game. So apparently they learned lessons from that and put it into and making sure Valfaris came out good the first time, which is good. Because I think there's definitely talent and a vision there that hopefully they can keep making similar games. All right, so that was Valfaris. really, really good recommendation on that front. Thank you for joining us in this very special episode of Voxel Viewpoint. If you'd like to hear or see more, please consider subscribing to us on your favorite podcast app, subscribing to us on YouTube, or visiting voxelvoice.com, where all of our great content comes together in one place. Also check out the Voxel Voice Facebook group, where you can join in on the discussion with a great, like-minded community.